Hello Team FD and welcome back to Winners and Losers Transfer Edition, where we put silly season underneath the microscope. In the hot seat today, it's Zach Gelab. How are you, sir? What is the most interesting thing you did all weekend?
Got a haircut. Had a few drinks, and that was pretty much it. What about yourself, mate?
I can't see you right now, so I'm trusting it's fresh to death. Had some friends down from Leicester. Played a bit of golf, lost golf, licking my wounds last night. Watching The Fall, by the way, on Netflix. Excellent.
I've
Highly
heard
recommend it. Gillian Anderson, what a woman. But anyway, we have some stellar transfers for you today, and you'll only get that if you watch the show, because she's called Stella. And we're starting with Manchester United and Donny van der Beek, and it looks like that move is complete, Jalab, which would be a coup.
It would be indeed. I mean, it was first reported by Mike Voedge, I hope I have got that pronunciation right, on Sunday, that Donny van der Beek is en route to Old Trafford for around 35 to 40 million pounds, arguably half of what was rumoured a couple of seasons ago. The BBC also confirmed the news, and Sky Sports claimed he had a medical in Amsterdam yesterday, and Fabrizio Romano, here we go'd it. So it's all set to happen very, very quickly. The announcement should be possibly today. After it looked like he could be Madrid bound last year, he's agreed a 5-year contract with the Red Devils on £107,000 a week, plus bonuses, according to Voedge. With apparently zero hitches in negotiations, and the player absolutely delighted to sign for Ollie's side. But you may be wondering, what kind of player is he? There's been a lot of talk about whether he'll fit into the midfield with Pogba and Fernandes. I'm sure Chris will get into that in a bit more detail later on. Well, he's very much an attacking player, an all-action type of midfielder. In the last 3 years, he's made more appearances for Ajax than any other player, 133 out of a possible 141 games. This shows how reliable he is, only missing 26 days due to injury. During that period, only Dusan Tadic and Hakim Ziyech contributed to more goals than Van der Beek, with the Dutchman racking up 40 goals and 29 assists. Now, his international compatriot Virgil van Dijk spoke about him in this press conference.
Als het doorgaat en het lijkt erop inderdaad, dan gun ik hem dat van harte. Geweldig voor hem, geweldig voor het Nederlands voetbal, voor het Nederlands elftal. En ja, weer een mooie stap, weer een prachtige club voor een Nederlands elftal spelen. Hetzelfde geldt voor Nathan natuurlijk, die naar Manchester City is gegaan, dus dat is...
But this raises the question, doesn't it? With Pogba and Bruno nailed on starters, where does Van der Beek fit in? Now, whilst his defensive numbers are good, and he put up a combined 4.2 tackles and interceptions per 90 in last season's Champions League, a starting midfield three every week of Van der Beek, Pogba and Bruno seems unlikely. Though versus poorer sides, where they don't have to defend as much, where they're trying to unpick a sitting defence, a deep block, it might be a possibility. Though, I suppose with the amount of competitions that United are in this season, especially with the Champions League on the horizon, he can be a vital rotation piece for Ollie. He didn't necessarily have that last campaign, did he? Now, Fernandes missed just one match of the 23 following his move to United. 22 of them were starts, which really sounds out how overly reliant they were on the Portuguese maestro after the break. Thus, extra quality was needed to bolster those backup options, and they've done it with aplomb, haven't they? Andreas Pereira, Jesse Lingard seemingly on their way out. Juan Mata aging like a fine wine, may I add. What a lovely guy, but maybe not relied upon in the big games anymore like he once was. And if you consider the options that their top 4 rivals in the Premier League have on the bench, I'm looking at Bernardo Silva, who made 11 appearances for City off the bench, Oxlade-Chamberlain, 13 off the bench for Liverpool, Keita, 9, Hudson-Odoi, 15 for Chelsea. It really does highlight the lack of strength and depth United have had in the last couple of seasons. And competitions for places can only be a good thing, right, for Ollie's side, especially when it's quality competition. Now, £40 million might seem excessive for a rotation option, but at that money, they couldn't really, in my opinion, have found much better value in a 23-year-old who has Champions League experience and a robust injury record. So I think it's really good business. And I think United have strengthened in the right area. Of course, they have been linked with Jadon Sancho to the tune of 120. So at 40, this is pretty frugal in comparison. And it might mean that they can spend bigger money elsewhere with him covering a host of positions, particularly in the final third. Do you think this is a good move or not, Jalab? What do you give it on DJ Elab's rating out of 10?
I reckon a solid 7, possibly an 8, depending on how well he plays. Yeah, I think you're completely right. You can't expect a midfield of Pogba and Bruno Fernandes to last for the whole season. I mean, we know...
Because it's going to be Matic as well,
yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Matic at the
Matic,
base,
possibly
Pogba,
Fred. And you know, like with Pogba's injury record and having to rely on him that much, it might not go down that well. You saw at the end of the restart where it looked like those two were starting to get a bit fatigued and a bit tired together. And so bringing in someone like Van der Beek is a great option. And he's going there as well. He's not gonna just sit on the bench. He's going to fight for a place in that starting 11. So as you said, like having two people who are challenging for one position is actually a good thing, and will hopefully get the best out of each other. But yeah, I'd give it a 7 or possibly an 8 on the old Jalab transfer scale.
There we have it. Let's move on to our loser then. Conclusive stuff.
Moving on to our loser now, and it's Inter Milan, as their nemesis AC Milan have got one over them by signing Sandro Tonali. According to Sky Sports Italia, AC Milan have come from nowhere to sign the highly rated 20-year-old from Brescia on a loan deal with a £26.8 million obligation to buy next season. And it's an unbelievable bit of business from the former Giants, considering Tonali has regularly been valued as nearly double that throughout the year and was scouted by a whole host of clubs, including Chelsea, Barcelona and Napoli. According to reports, the reason Inter Milan pulled out was because they wanted to sign another highly rated midfielder in 33-year-old Arturo Vidal from Barcelona. I mean, it's very much Inter's loss here, isn't it, Hamill?
Yeah, it looks like Arturo Vidal's return to Serie A is pretty much nailed on, doesn't it? Barcelona desperate to get him off the wage bill. And like you said, there's an argument here that the signing of Tonali is as much Inter's loss as it is AC Milan's gain. Now the Italian international shone for a dismal Brescia last campaign, scoring once and posting 7 assists. So it never looked likely that he would follow them down to Serie B. Of course, he's long been touted as the heir to Andrea Pirlo's throne, hasn't he? With that shock, that mop of brown hair, that cultured approach to his play, and of course from the same neck of the woods as well. The Nerazzurri, meanwhile, desperately needed midfield reinforcements, having run out of steam at the end of the 1920 campaign under the tiresome demands, let's say, of Antonio Conte, although he has confirmed he is staying, which is as big a coup as any 100%. For them, isn't it? Now, according to further reports in Italy, Inter just didn't have the money to make this happen after quite a free spending summer in Conte's first campaign. But if Tonali proves to be the key to AC Milan returning to Champions League football, let's say, then they are inviting more pressure on themselves, aren't they, Inter? Especially with the likes of Atalanta, Lazio, Roma improving under Fonseca. There's a host of other clubs vying for those Champions League positions in Serie A. They're inviting more pressure on themselves to be caught out in that regard. So, yeah, this makes competition at top even more fascinating, doesn't it? We do have one more loser to touch upon because we thought, while we're in Italy, let's stay in Italy. And that is come in the form of Weston McKennie. We've put Southampton as sort of a secondary loser in that regard because they might be feeling sorry for themselves having missed out on McKennie because he's heading off Juventus, isn't he? Which is a little bit of a bizarre move. The US international signing for the old lady for initial loan fee of £4 million, which could be made permanent for £22.7 million next season, provided certain clauses are met, as is the standard modus operandi in Italy now. The Saints ultimately could not compete with the big bucks and the big bullies of Italian football, as any move for the American would have shattered their transfer record. I think it currently stands at 22.5 for Yannick Vestergaard.
Jesus Christ.
So yeah, they've already spent a bit of money already, haven't they? So Saints fans might not be too disappointed, but yeah, I suppose they might be a bit annoyed that Juventus even came in for it.
Indeed. Yeah, they have spent a few quid this season already. Yeah, 22.8 million to be exact on two players, Mohamed Salisu, who we think is going to be a decent little player, and Kyle Walker-Peters, who had an okay loan spell with them.
Yeah.
However, Southampton still have a gaping hole in their midfield, having lost Pierre-Emile Højbjerg to Spurs. And that hole got even bigger this weekend, with Fulham confirming moves for both Harrison Reed and Mario Lemina, meaning Hasenhüttl's side could really do with another midfielder, at least one, possibly another two. And this could also spell bad news for Aaron Ramsey back at Juve, as further competition for spaces in Turin could push him closer to the exit door. However, with the amount of money he's earning, I doubt any other club is really going to be able to match him.
And I know Matuidi's gone, but they're pretty well stocked for midfielders already, so it feels a little bit bizarre. But admittedly, I haven't watched an awful lot of Weston McKennie, so he could prove to be a great transfer for them. What do you think, guys? Let us know in the comments below. That is the end of Winners and Losers. Zach, what else should the guys go and watch?
Check out me on the Football Pyramid over on Eurofootball Daily as well. It was close. I was back to my best, let's put it that way. It was good fun.
Nice.
And why not check out Sunday Vibes if you missed it yesterday, where they talk about the great, mighty Chelsea Football Club. God, but they didn't get me involved to talk about it, so, you know, just bullying, really, isn't it, boys?
A lot of self-interest in that plug.
Indeed.
I think we should end it there, to be honest. Bye.